Hello, everybody. This is Jason Gardner from Radical Shift Coaching, where we simplify transformation. And today we have an amazing guest, a close friend of mine, a great performer, and a great creative mind, and a great businessman. His name is Al Millar. And
I'm all those things, am I?
You're more than that, actually.
Cool.
You know? If you want me to espouse beauty and love, you're just a great graphic designer. You're building wood stuff. You're a great coach. You're a great friend. Got a great heart. But we're here to talk about a few things. A jack of all trades. We're here to talk about a few things. So first of all, hello, Al. How you doing?
Hello. Good. I'm good. I'm well. Good. No COVID.
Good. Yes, me too. No COVID. And you've been out and about too, so you've taken a little bit of a calculated risk.
Yeah. I mean, I do what I do as an entertainer or what I've always done is I hear about a place to perform and I go there. So that's what I always did as a young performer. And then I heard about that Florida was open and they were having street shows down there.
Who hasn't heard that Florida is open?
Yeah. So I went and started doing shows down there and I did like December, January, did a little bit in February when the Super Bowl was on. And I've been back recently for a festival, the first Busker Fest to happen in the U.S. was in just outside of Orlando, in Eustis, Florida. So I went to that. I just wanted to be a part of the first thing, you know.
Sure.
How
was that?
Good. Yeah. No, I mean, it wasn't great. I mean, shows down there in Florida, it's not the same as it used to be.
Yeah.
The shows aren't, packed in.
Yeah, right.
But you get people standing around in shade and, differently. You can't really form an audience like you used to, but you can still get a lot of people watching. Mm-hmm. And so it feels like a show.
Yeah.
And they seem to be more generous than they used to be.
Yeah, I that's the sense that I get. People are really kind of starved for connection, for entertainment, for live entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Enough already with watching Netflix and YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we've had so much of that this year, more than ever. And now it's just like to be outside and to look at something that's happening in real time. It's so cool.
Like hearing about like things being open in Florida on the news and actually being there. It's different. It just feels like normal life down there, and but everyone's still masking up and doing what they have to do.
Good.
So as much as it seems like scary or whatever, it's not, and it's like it's totally okay to come out of your shell and live your life and not be afraid of anything.
Yeah, it's like there's being careful. Mm-hmm. And then there's being paranoid. And there's being really kind of like using that as an addiction, as an obsession, as something to kind of obsess about and freak out over.
Yeah, I can't go outside. There's a pandemic.
Wiping down every little thing that you touch. And it's just enough already. We've already seen how it's shown up. We know that with a modicum of safety, with just wearing masks and washing and just being normal and living your life normally, and not excessively, but just normally, you're fine. Most people are fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've been traveling down there. I've been going on planes. I've been going to conventions, and I always wear my mask. I'm always keeping apart from people. I'm always washing my hands, and I've had tons of COVID tests. Never had a positive yet, and it's just about being diligent about obviously living a different life in public, but you don't have to be afraid to go out and do things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well. There's so much I want to get into with you because I mean you did this. You have this amazing project that you're working with now called Ultimate Street Performer, and a few months ago you made an incredible, I think one of the best videos I've ever seen, really, about how to perform during COVID.
Right.
It was literally, it was like everything you need to know.
Right.
You literally gave everyone through experience because you were doing it. You literally told people exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
Successfully. And then I was very surprised to hear that. I really thought that everyone was going to be jumping on that and being like, okay, well, where do I work? And you're saying that nobody showed up to like
well, it was
even told them where to go. And like,
it was another one of those things. It was like, I heard about a place by the beach up in New Hampshire where this was in August, by the way. And this had been happening since June. People have been performing at that beach since June. And I didn't know about it until August. but I heard about it, and immediately I went, all right, I'm going to try it. And I didn't have any large expectations or anything, but I'd spent a lot of time figuring out how to do my show without using volunteers, without having the crowd too close, and just figuring it out. And after doing a few weeks of shows there, I just figured out everything that you can do to make your show safe for yourself and for the audience.
Yeah.
So that's where that video came out of, because I knew that people were scared to go out and do. I mean, obviously some places you can't.
Yeah, but you're right. I think people were me included, were afraid, to show up and get out there again.
I almost got you up there on Labor Day.
Yeah, I almost did. I don't know what happened.
Labor Day.
So close.
That was actually the best day.
I bet it was. Yeah. That's okay, though. So interesting, because street performing is such a metaphor for how we live life. And it's like, you have to show up. You can't just think about it. You have to show up. And you also have to let go of expectations. You have to, if you're constantly expecting a certain result, you're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, I kind of run this mantra now is think small.
Tell me about that.
Well, yeah, exactly what you're saying is don't expect too much. Don't expect to do what you used to do, and just try and do it at a smaller level, and eventually it's going to grow to something bigger. So now, if I go and do a show and it's like tiny, I just don't care. I used to be like, oh, that's a hit to the ego or whatever. What if someone sees me doing a tiny show? But now I just don't care. Now I'm just like, okay, I've got this many people watching. Obviously, the pandemic has affected how people want to gather and watch a show. So what I'm going to do is try and connect with as high a percentage of these people who are here as I can, and get a larger tip from most of them than I used to kind of get.
You hear that, beginners out there? Think about it.
Yeah. 5
people give you $20. It's a $100 hat.
Exactly.
5 people, $100 hat.
Yeah.
Just 5.
Just 5. Yeah.
So I mean, if you have 25 people watching your show, you can walk away with a few $100s.
Easy.
If you know how to do it.
Yeah.
So don't think. So I'm interested. So this, I like, you said think small?
Think small.
Think small. So how does that affect, because I have a sense of like I want to always have the best possible outcome in my mind, right? I always want to think the most, that the most is possible. So how do you balance thinking small with not playing small?
I think it's starting small and not expecting it to get big. Just going, okay, this is maybe difficult. I might not get a huge crowd. I might, and if I do, great. And generally in my existence, it's been that way. I've always ended up with something big, and no matter how small I started with. Whereas these days, is you never really know how it's going to go. Eventually it'll turn around, whatever. But in the times we're living in right now, it's best just not to have those expectations, and just to whatever you get, just be grateful.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing worse. And we've all been there, feeling, doing a show and making people happy, but yet not being happy about the show. Like there's kids in the show, there's people that just loved it, and yet we didn't feel like we made enough money or was enough people maximized, and yet people walked away loving it.
Yeah.
And, we're walking away with feeling,
I have this dream, right? Years ago, I had this dream where I found this place by the beach. And in the dream, I show up there at the same time every day, and all the people there, they're all there because I'm there, right? They're all sitting on the grass waiting, and I don't have an amplifier. I don't make a big production out of it. They just know I'm coming at 7 o'clock on whatever day, and it's like a tourist kind of thing. And then the next day, there's all different people there waiting because they heard, this is where you go on Friday night to watch this guy do this thing, and so. Ever since then, I've been thinking about that. Where is that place? I can see it. I can remember it in the dream. I wish I could find it. And one day I probably will.
And you've been so many places, you haven't seen it yet.
No, I haven't.
There.
Are dreams made up of places that you've been? Or do you just make them up?
There's a philosophy about that dreams is another reality state.
Right.
That potentially, you could tapping into a future database, potentially, that there's something that exists.
But I imagine that, when I say think small, I imagine like I bought a camper recently, And I imagine like living in a camper, just going to the beach and, having little picnics and little barbecues. And then on Friday, I go and I do my show for the people. And then Saturday, I do another one. And then I have the whole week off. And I'm just living in a camper by the beach, doing a few shows every week. Living locally, local produce, local meat, local, so when I say think small, those things are kind of included as well.
Yeah, it's also think minimalistically too, like a minimalistic kind of vibe. Man, I love that. I talk a lot in my coaching about people, about being intentional about how you want to live your life, like how you want to live your days. Like how many free days do you want? How many days do you want to work? I mean, you get to decide that. We get to decide that.
Well,
right?
Also, like, I just had too many days off in a row.
Oh, yeah, sure.
There's something to be said about going to work and working and sweating and getting like sunburnt and dirty, and then getting home and taking a shower and flopping on the couch and just going,
it's the best.
And like, that's great. Yeah. But when you wake up in the morning and you don't have anything to do, just so many days off in a row, no possibility of performing or anything. It's just like, it just wears you down. It's too many days off. You need to do something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really have to busy my mind when I have too many days off. I have to have projects.
Right. Right. Yeah. So smart. I mean, yeah, because it's so important during this last year is to really create projects. And that's the beauty of the pandemic, is that a lot of people have started a lot of new projects. I mean, that's kind of been the call to action. It's like, what are you going to do with this time sitting at home? What are you going to do? You're going to bake some bread, which is cool. You're going to do that. That's great. That's great. Some people become bakers. Some people, start exercising. And, that's why the Peloton thing went off completely, because everyone's like, what am I going to do with myself? So, so tell me about, let's just jump right in. I'm so excited to talk about this. So Ultimate Street Performer is a course for how to become a street performer, or how to improve.
Or how to improve, how to become a professional, world-traveling, successful street performer.
Yeah. And there's no one better than you to have a course like that, because it's a combination. Is not only you're a really great teacher, you really are. You're organized and clear and simple, but you also have the experience. And so two things that really are important that people want.
Yeah.
They really want to, you're not going to listen to someone who's not doing better than you.
Right.
That would be stupid. And then, you have so much experience to draw from that we can just literally ask you anything and you pretty much have an answer for it because you've kind of experienced it.
Or even if I haven't experienced it, I can listen to whatever the query is and imagine how I would react to it.
Of course.
Yeah.
So speaking of course, so tell me about the course.
Right. So, I've obviously been street performing for 24 years, and there's a couple of types of street performer. There's ones that come in and they do 10, maybe 5, 10, 15 years, then they move on, or they do 5 years, then they move on, or they move on to something else or whatever. And then there's the lifers, there's the people that are street performers forever. And I think I fall into that category because I don't really see myself. I like going to do paid gigs, and I do them. And I like going to festivals and stuff, but I find the most joy in rolling up and doing a street show and getting people from who didn't expect to see it to gather and laugh and pay for something that they didn't expect to see. So I get more out of that than I do than going to a gig where people expect to see you. So
why is that?
I think I just get more satisfaction out of making it happen on the street where it's not expected. Rather than at a festival. Obviously, you get a bigger crowd and a bigger reaction at a festival, but if you get that same big crowd and big reaction just on a regular street performer,
it means way more. Yeah, it does.
It's much, much more.
Yeah,
because they don't know you were going to be there, and so, I'd been doing that up until last year. I did. I think my last street shows were Thanksgiving 2019. And then I had a couple of gigs over the winter, and then pandemic, all the gigs that were coming up all dropped off. They all went and dropped like flies.
That's right.
And, the first couple of weeks was, all right, I guess I'm going to paint the house. I guess I'm going to watch this movie I wanted to watch. I guess I'm going to do this, do that. And then it was like, okay, it's a couple of weeks now. I'm not making any money. I'm going to I'm going to go deliver groceries. So I did that for about 3 days.
Wow, dude.
And I went, okay, this is okay, but it's pretty shit. So what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to write. So I started writing. I'd started a couple of chapters of a book years ago, and so I read them. And I went, okay, I should start this again and just tell my story of how I became a street performer. And I don't know, I maybe got 20 chapters in. I wrote a lot. But then just one random morning, I was on Instagram, and I saw some kind of ad that caught my attention. It was like make a one-page website to sell whatever. And I watched it, and then it took me to a webinar, and I watched that, and it kind of taught me how to make a good website that sells one thing. And I was like, whenever I've coached performers, I've sent them this little booklet that I wrote of like, just all the steps you need to take to be a street performer. And it was only 40 pages or something, but it really just covered everything very vaguely of, everything you need to do to start being a street performer. I was like, oh, wow, if I turn that, like if I expanded on that a little bit and maybe I can make a one-page website and sell a PDF for a little, just to make a little bit of money or whatever. That would be something that I have that I can contribute right now. I was like, okay, so I started looking into building the website and copyright and stuff like that. And I didn't realize I didn't know how to write, like how to sell stuff on websites,
right.
How to copyright. So I reached out to my cousin, John, who's an entrepreneur in Australia, written books, has courses, has all this stuff. And I said, can you help me out with some copywriting? And he got back to me. He said, let's have a conversation. I'll call you on the phone. Called me on the phone, talked to me for about 2 hours and convinced me that like this little book thing was not enough. He said, you're like the best at this. You need to write down everything you know, and everything you don't know, I was like, okay, I guess there's a lot of things that I don't know, I know. So I need to write down, he's like, here's what you do. You write down, if you want to get someone from A to Z as a street performer, A being complete novice, Z being how to be like, professional, world-traveling, successful street performer. Write down all the steps, and within those steps, write down another 10 steps within each of those steps. I was like, I think I can do that. So I switched from writing this book about my journey as a street performer. I switched to writing out this course, and he convinced me to do it as an online video tutorial course, and that's how it started. I just started writing the sections. I started writing each module and each chapter. And I separated all the chapters so they're only one subject, so it's really easy for people to digest. And after about 6 weeks of writing, I was like, I'm done writing. I need to start recording. I wasn't done writing, but I was like over it. You know what I mean? I've had enough of writing. I'd outlined it enough so that I could write them as I did them.
Yeah.
So I started recording them in, I think, July. And, basically I'd wake up in the morning, I would look at the script and then review it, edit it, take out words that I didn't need, and then in the afternoon I would record it and edit it, and then I had like a video done, and then I had 3, and eventually it took me months, but I did 78 of these tutorial videos.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, and
so much stuff in there. You're talking so many good things that you're mentioning.
But yeah, so now it's then, among all that, I had to figure out how to build the website, how to host the course, how to sell the course, how to build a tribe, how to get people to believe what I'm saying.
Yep.
So all that came from just reading books. I read tons of marketing books from entrepreneurs that,
What books?
I read Digital Millionaire Secrets by Dan Henry, which was a bit of an eye-opener. I read Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson.
Fantastic.
Which is like the Bible.
Yeah. Anything by Russell Brunson.
Right. I read Copywriting Secrets by his name is escaping me.
I don't have my computer with me.
Anyways, Jim Edwards.
Okay.
Copywriting Secrets. That was pretty cool.
You recommended Profit first? Was that?
No,
you recommend that to me? No.
I think you recommended Ask to me.
Yeah, Ryan Levesque. Yeah,
Ask.
that's
I read that.
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant book.
And I think the most helpful one was Launch by Jeff Walker.
That's the one you recommended to me. Launch.
Yeah.
Launch.
Yeah. And since then, I've read The Consultant Next Door by Taylor Welch. And what did I just get? I just got Sell Like Crazy by Sabri Subi. He's an Australian entrepreneur.
Right.
So those are those are the books that I read and am reading to get me to make the course that I made a success.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay, let's stop here for a second. So a couple of things are just so amazing. First of all, so here we're talking about Guy Al, who is well accomplished and highly skilled and successful at what he does, and yet decided to do something that he didn't know how to do. So a lot of people, the ego takes over and they just really don't want to ask for help. They want to figure it out on their own. And it takes them so much longer because they they don't know what they don't know. And I'm just, it makes sense because you just, instead of, you just said, all right, who do I need to contact? Who, who do I need to, who knows this stuff?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, and it's amazing how close it is to us. So you have a family member who it's like, that's how close it is. And you call up and you say, hey, and then they're like, yeah, here's what you need to know.
Yeah.
And then you went forward and did the stuff. So it's not just, so it's again, you didn't know what you didn't know anything. You didn't know what you didn't know, but you were able to ask for help, find out what it is, and then continue to build. And also the other thing I wanted to draw out was The Compound Effect, which is a great book, by the way, which is a little bit at a time. Those videos didn't happen. You didn't think to yourself, I got to record 78 videos today.
No.
You said, I'm just going to record this one.
Yeah.
And then I'll record this one.
Yeah. Well, it was even less than that. It was waking up in the morning and going, what's the next subject? Let's start writing.
Yep.
And you write it, and then, that's all I've got. Okay, I guess I can shoot that now.
There's a great acronym, WIN. What is next, or who is next to win? That's it. Just what is the next thing on your, that's it. And another quote is, I don't know who said it, but do the thing and you'll have the power. Which means whatever the thing is in front of you, do that thing and then go to the next thing because you will have the power, which is what you got. So great.
And the first book, like I mentioned, that I read by Dan Henry, Digital Millionaire Secrets, the whole book convinces you that you should sign up for his coaching course,
Of course,
right?
they all do.
They all do. And I was like, okay, I can see value in that. And then I found out how much it was, and I was like, okay, I'm acting like one of those clients now that doesn't want to pay the money to get the help. But coincidentally, around the same time I was thinking about that, I came across Course Creator Pro.
Right.
And one of their Instagram ads hit me, and I watched their webinar, and basically they show you how to build a course.
I have it. It's great. It's a great.
Create, market, and sell an online course. So I followed that course to the letter.
Yep.
I built my course.
Amazing.
I marketed my course, everything using Course Creator Pro.
Yep.
And that was affordable. It was more like $700 to buy in. But I listened to the Dan Henry podcast. I listened to the Taylor Welch podcast. I listened to all these guys' podcasts because they give away all their best stuff in their podcasts.
Yeah, all the time.
So,
because most people, by the way, and you are a little bit of an anomaly, but most people with that information don't do anything with it. That's why these guys give it away, because they know the fact that most people will not actually take it and run with it. They don't.
I see it as didn't Bruce Lee say something like take what you need and discard the rest.
Sure.
When I'm listening to something, I hear like a couple of points and I'm like, that makes sense for me teaching a street performer.
Yep.
Everything else I don't need.
Yep.
So then I write that stuff down, and I actually was on masterclass as well. There's this one called Persuasion by Daniel Pink. Masterclass.
Sure.
I got that one. That was really awesome too. And obviously it's the whole thing. I learned a lot, but there's only a couple of things that I learned that would help me. So you take on what you need and discard the rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it was it was about 7 months of work, and then I used the launch sequence from Launch by Jeff Walker, and I launched my course in November, and it went really well. A lot of people bought in, and then and then I did a promo recently where I held a live webinar,
Right.
and I got about 42 people on the call.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I held a live webinar. I basically, I gave a bunch of valuable information away in the webinar, and then did a pitch for my course at the end, and I had 8 people buy in, which was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm up. I think I got about 36 students now, which is cool. I guess if I had a bigger market, or people were able to perform more now, I would have more students. But I think that's pretty good for being such a young course.
Yeah, I think it's a great return. Even for a webinar to get almost like 20% or more of people buying in is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious because I think there's something that can be done. Your course can be maybe the next version of it is how to apply that towards life.
Yeah.
Right. And therefore your market now is not just street performers, entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
For example,
That's
the
how
metaphor of street, how it applies to running any business.
Yeah.
Then we're talking.
Yeah, because I've already kind of made an outline for a course like that.
Good.
And I'm a believer just because things have always just kind of come to me when I needed them. I don't know what I need to know right now to make that happen, but I know that in the future I'll know what I need to know to make that happen.
Tell me about that. How is that philosophy? How does that come about? That because I agree and I feel the same way. So we talk about thoughts becoming reality, right? So or just so. Tell me about what are your feelings about that?
Well, I don't know. Like just when I started performing, that's how it kind of came for me. It was like I just kind of learned naturally. And when I started building this course, the things I needed to know kind of came along when I needed them. Like when I needed to know how to build a website, all of a sudden some kind of Instagram post would pop up and here's how to build, here's a webinar of teaching you how to build. Okay, now I need to know about this. Now I need, just all of a sudden, just things just falling into place.
Yeah.
And things that I kind of catalog things as well. I'd be like, oh, I need to learn how to do that at some point. I better catalog that in my brain somewhere. Then 2 months down the track, when I go, oh, I need to learn that now. What was that? Oh, that's what it was. And go check it out, and then there you are. And a lot of different things I've learned over just my life have made it into my course. Basically because a lot of street performers don't have a financial plan, and they don't have a lot of financial legitimacy. They kind of just get their hat money and they use it to pay for things, and that's it. So I made a small section at the end of my course on here's how to take your hat money and make a financial security blanket for yourself, which is something that I probably didn't need to include, but it's something that I've learned over the years, and it's something I think could be helpful.
I think
people.
so. I think it's a beautiful epilogue to the thing. It's like, okay, so now you've done it.
Now you've done it.
So what are you going to do with that money?
What are you going to do with your money? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's for most people, this is not a forever career.
Yeah.
Even if you want it to be, you never know. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
That we've had friends who've just, you fall off a unicycle or something. You could just, you never know, or just get sick, and because it's such a physical job that if you're not completely able, you can't work anymore.
And that's it. I see mentors of mine who still live that way. They don't have things, they don't have security, and they're still out there working. And it's like, okay. So the point of that final module that I try and make in the videos is your goal needs to be able to make money without doing shows, because that is going to be the reality of your life one day.
Right.
Make money without doing shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing about, you're a very positive person. So the thing about allowing things to happen, knowing or having an expectation, or knowing that the information will come to you when you're ready to receive it. the way that works is, imagine it's like a radio frequency, and positivity and creativity and all that love, and it's all at this high, it's a certain frequency. It's actually a high frequency. You can even measure it. You can measure the brain waves. But imagine that as a radio station. When you're tuned into that radio station, then manifestation, things are possible. Things show up just when they're needed. Things tend to work out. It's just a belief that things work out for me. It's just a positive.
Yeah.
But the way that won't happen is when you tune into a different frequency, which is negativity, doubt,
Right.
Lack, like, I don't know.
I have those
Right.
things too,
We all do.
but I just go, I'll just do it anyway.
See, that's the thing. I tell people that it's okay to be negative. It's okay to have negative thoughts, but can you let it go quickly and easily and gracefully? Which is what you're saying is just, you just let it go. It's just like you don't go down the rabbit hole of negativity, because once you go down that way, I tell there's no bottom to complaining. You can go on forever.
Yeah.
So you got to stop it as quick as possible, because once you start going into that complaining or negativity, you've changed frequencies, and then the information is not going to be there.
I think it's also about recognizing that you're having a bad day and just go, tomorrow's going to be better.
I love that. Yeah.
Just, okay, I'm having a bad day. I'm complaining about things. I don't believe in myself. Just
great.
accept that that's today.
Yeah.
And tomorrow's going to be different.
My coach yesterday was on a group call with my cohorts, and she said something like, so if you had a really bad Monday, just forget it. Start your week over tomorrow. Just start your week on Tuesday.
Nice.
That's it. If it's a shitty day, just don't worry about it. Just start over tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's it. Sometimes the best advice is just to go to bed. Like some people, when you have a shitty day, just go to bed.
Yeah.
End the day and then restart.
It's cool.
I'm gone to bed early sometimes, like 8 o'clock. I like pull the sheets over my head. Even I'm not even tired, but I will fall asleep because I know I'm done. There's nothing more that I could do today. Like I need to reset, and then I wake up and there's another chance.
Yeah, I obviously I have doubts that things will succeed. Like when I think of new things for my show, when I think of obviously the course, different things, I obviously have doubts that they're going to work, but I just tend to just do them anyway.
That's the key. The secret here is, and you're hearing it from Al, you're hearing it from someone who's a master, is that no one knows what the fuck we're doing. No one really knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
So stop thinking that you have to know what the fuck you're doing to do something. You just do the thing. You have the power because you're doing it, and then you learn from it, and you learn so much more from fucking up than you do from succeeding. I forget. I was watching I went to some conference years ago, and there was this guy got on stage. Jeff Pulver, his name is. And he was talking about he had 100 different companies.
Wow.
100, and they all failed. They all failed except for one.
Wow.
Vonage.
Wow.
He sold it for $150 million.
Damn.
Okay, but if he would have stopped after 50 failures, he would have never gotten to Vonage. Same with Harry Potter books. She was told. Same with Tom Brady, told he'd never ever be anything. Arnold Schwarzenegger told he'd never be an actor. That he was stupid for being a bodybuilder because he was from Austria.
You got to fake it till you make it.
Fake it, and it's not even faking it. So here's the other thing. I believe this. It's not faking it because here's the deal. The word author and authentic have the same root. Auth, the same. It's so Latin. To be authentic is to author yourself. So to create who you want to be is actually being authentic. It's not actually faking it because you get to decide who you want to be in your mind. You get to just show up in any way you want to be.
Yeah.
It's your choice on how you want to show up.
It's funny, you mentioned that because recently in the last few months I've developed a new act, right? And I've a new thing that's going to be, hey, here's my post-pandemic show. There's the Alakazam, the Human Knot. That was my pre-pandemic show. Now I have this post-pandemic show, and I booked myself into this festival out in Florida as Alakazam, and I showed up as this new thing. I had like my new. It's called Tennis the Menace, right?
Oh man.
Okay, it's basically a guy dressed in tennis gear doing tricks with tennis stuff.
That's great, dude.
Rackets, balls.
If you don't know, Al is one of Al's signature routines, which is an old like carny thing, is squeezing yourself through a tennis or some kind of hoop or tennis racket. But Al took it and really owned it. You know what I mean? And it's been a kind of a staple of your show for how long? When did you start doing that bit?
How
many years in?
98.
How many years in did you
1
come
year
up with
in.
Because that really to you was a game changer for you,
Yeah.
right? That to me,
Yeah,
it's the most
really my
visual
signature move. That's
Yeah.
my signature trick.
yeah. You told me when I was getting tied up, that was my getting tied up is my racket. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the moment where people walk by and go, I
They
gotta
have to
stop.
stop.
I gotta stop. This guy's getting tied up. This guy's in a racket. You know,
Yeah.
we gotta watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just showed up with this new act.
Yeah.
No one expected it, but
Yeah.
here I am. I got the new outfit. I got the new tricks.
Yeah.
I got the new sign,
Yeah.
everything. And it went great. People,
Yeah.
it's fresh. It's new. And all my performer friends were like, oh, what's this? I like it.
Something to jam on too with friends too. Now,
Yeah.
hopefully, you know,
Yeah.
they kind of jam on with you about this is a new project. So
Yeah, new project.
Whenever performers have a new thing, we all kind of want to, you know,
Yeah.
we want to kind of suggest ideas and jokes and
Yeah. So that's the thing
it's
is
fun.
like, you know, right now I come up with a bunch of new jokes. And when you come up with new jokes at home, you know, only like 5% of them actually land in the show. The best stuff comes from performing the show.
Yep.
So I get out there and I perform the show a few times and I'm finding all this funny stuff
Yep.
within the show, and all the stuff that you write is like, that's average. This stuff I'm finding in the show is much better.
Yeah, and it's often stuff that you don't even. It's
Yeah.
stuff that you could never write at home because
You never even think about
it's
it.
in the moment, and sometimes it's something you say, it just in the moment that doesn't even sound funny, and yet the audience just loves it. It's like little things like that.
Spontaneous comedy is
Yeah.
the funniest stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just a way to also overcome that. Oh, is this going to work? Is this going to fail? Is it going to be any good? Just go and do it, and just do it, and don't care if it's any good. You know, obviously, I know how to do a show, so it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And just will it land? And it landed. And what I found is that it's actually a more family-friendly version of my show. You know, it's my regular show is shirtless most of the time, and has a lot of innuendo and you know, I guess as I'm getting older, I have to stay more clear of that stuff. You know, as you get older, maybe that stuff doesn't work as well as it used to. So, yeah, I think that's what I discovered doing this new thing is, this is actually a more family-friendly version of my show, and that's going to play better for, like, gigs and festivals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really people, performers really take that to heart. You
Right.
know?
And people tend to like the name, too, Tennis the Menace, just because it's like it's got this
It's good.
familiar ring to it,
Yeah.
you know, but it's tennis, yeah.
It's good. I can, what color shorts are you wearing? Are they red?
No, no. I'll show you a photo. I got one right here. It's all
wish I could
all
pop
tennis gear.
Yeah.
So
I picture you in like 1970s shorts, but I could be wrong.
no, like modern tennis guy.
Okay, modern
so
tennis
really
guy.
bright shirt,
Right.
a visor, the sweatbands, the really bright shoes. You can't see them in this photo, but I've got shoes that are the same color as the tennis ball.
Nice.
And yeah, so that's my new promo shot.
Show the camera. I don't think.
Oh, yeah, it's a bit far away,
Yeah,
but
whatever.
you can look it up. If you go to alakazamshow.com, you can see all my photos.
And we'll leave links. I always leave links in the description and all that.
Yeah.
Jazz. Yeah, man. So what else? So what's the future of the course? Where do you
well,
wanna go with that?
like I was saying, I don't really know. You know, I just kind of when I learn things, like I'm going to do that. So basically, what happened in January was I came back from Florida after doing a bunch of shows, and I said, okay, I'm going to tackle the next part of Course Creator Pro, which is Facebook ads. I'm going to start doing Facebook ads for my course. So I had this old ad account and I went in there, it had been disabled. So, okay, that one's done. So I created a new ad account, put up an ad, and the ad got flagged for some reason.
Yeah, it's confusing, huh?
Okay. So I went, I read up about it. I did like a lot of research on it. I did a review and everything. And then I took away all the copy in the ad and just put up the video. Right. And that worked for a while. But then after about a week, the ad account got disabled. Right, again, so my second ad account got disabled for no good reason. I mean, I read all the rules,
Okay.
and nothing I say in my ad violates any of their.
What would be a violation? What kind of thing would be a violation? What
I can't
would be a
remember
violation?
exactly, but just like saying.
I mean, obviously the obvious stuff.
Saying you can make this amount of money in this amount of
Claims.
time, you can lose this amount of weight in this amount of
got it.
time.
Yep. False.
But
claims,
I
right.
didn't have any of that.
None of that.
You know, and so after a while, I couldn't start another ad account because you've started an ad account in the last whatever how many days, you can't start another ad account. So I got some help from some people who are Facebook ad, experts. They're like, oh, you're going to have to create a dummy Facebook account and start this and that. And I was like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to just get shut down for no good reason and no reason. They don't give you reasons.
It's crazy.
I send them a thing. Well, how come my ad account got shut down? No response. Nothing. Just your ad account's disabled. And you can't start a new one. So the next part of the course creator course is YouTube ads. So I'm looking at that. But what I did early was start to build a community. I started to build a Facebook group because what happened last year? There was a busking street performing Facebook group called PNET, which was because performers.net was a forum, an online forum for years, since like in the late 90s.
Our good friend Peter.
Jim.
I said Peter.
Jim started that.
Jim,
yeah.
That's right, Jim.
Anyway, and it transferred into being a Facebook group. And, it was full of performers. People would post things and that, questions, reviews, different things, all performer related. And then last spring, there was kind of a shift. One of the moderators, basically a friend of mine from Australia who doesn't live in Australia anymore, but lives in Europe, he put up a dummy post that said, hey, I went out and did a street show and this is how it went. During the lockdown, just to see what people would say, right? And whatever, okay, do that if that's what gets you worked up or whatever. That's how you want to live your day, fine. But the moderator got on and basically was like, oh, dude, you can't do this. You shouldn't be doing this. Like, even if this is true, like, why are you stressing us all out with this like fake post or whatever? And it got heated and he ended up getting removed as a moderator. And then the moderator switched to like these 3 new people. And then I don't know what happened, but I think the group kind of died. Okay. After that, the group kind of died. You'd see a post go up and no one would comment on it.
Yeah.
And initially I was like, oh, this is where I'm going to have to, release the information on my course. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't want to. So I decided to make my own Facebook group, Tips for Street Performers, and I just started uploading videos of me doing like a minute and a half video. I'm just giving advice on a street show, on just little things that happen in street shows. Here's what to do if this happens. Here's what to do if this happens. And like overnight, I had like 500 people. And then it's slowly gone up, and it's like in the 8s now. But it's street performers from all over the world. And now I have my own group of people who, I would say on the PNET group, I probably knew 80% of the performers on there. On my group, I probably only know about 20, maybe less, 10% of the performers on there.
A lot of new guys, huh?
Tons of new people. So, so that was good for me just to be able to have my own tribe, my own community. And I put up a video every now and then, just street performing related. And sometimes it's kind of like an ad. Sometimes it's like, if you want to learn more about this, here's my website. You can watch a free 40-minute webinar. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just a little bit of advice. And other times, like for the webinar, I just put up a little video saying, hey, I'm going to host a webinar next weekend saying with the subject being the 3 biggest mistakes that street performers all make and how to avoid them. And that's all I said. Here's a link if you want to sign up for it. And that captures people's email addresses. And then I have another tribe of email contacts. So all of that was happening simultaneously while I was building the course. And by the time I launched my course, I had so much free content out in that group that people trusted me.
Yeah.
And I started hosting weekly Zoom calls where people could ask me anything. I called it Ask Me Anything.
Mm-hmm.
And performers could come on the Zoom call and ask me a question about street performing, and I would just give them my best answer.
Yep.
And that went for about 6 weeks, and that was right up until the launch of the course. And then I launched the course, and most of the people who bought into my course were on those calls.
Yeah.
You know, because they all had like a more up close, a more personal experience from me than just watching my videos.
Yeah, I mean, so we're talking here about building the know, like, and trust factor, in case you're wondering. And so obviously getting your tribe together is one way to do that, you know, and then through these little videos and webinars is another way for people to learn about you and trust you.
I had a reputation as a good performer.
Yes.
But now I have a reputation as an expert on the subject.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is what I had to kind of build. Like, you know, people, maybe they see a guy with a successful show. They go, oh, wow, that guy has a successful show. They don't think, oh, maybe that guy knows a lot more than I do. But, you know, now I kind of have built that expert vibe, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's so great. It's so good. Where are you? What's your next plan here? What's your next gig?
Well,
we're in April.
Yeah, I just got my first college gig.
Oh yeah,
booked, and that's in 2 weeks. And
where is that?
In Virginia.
Okay,
they have an outdoor thing.
Sure.
And they asked me to come in.
Yeah, I could see schools starting to hire people because I mean they could easily make it. You know, they could easily social distance the whole thing. I mean, it's
they've got
very controlled.
stadiums and tennis courts.
Yeah, it's a controlled environment. They could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Other than that, I've got a bunch of tattoo conventions booked. But as far as street goes, I've only got a couple of things. And since Boston is not really open for street performing, I have to travel to do street stuff. So the street festivals in the summer, I got a couple little gigs up like New Hampshire, Vermont, but not really anything solid for street performing. So it's mostly conventions and gigs and stuff now.
Yeah.
Which is okay. Like I said earlier, I don't like them as much as the street, but I'm going to take them when I don't have anything else.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, the city, I mean, I live right here in downtown Boston, so it's like the city is busy. I mean, the weekends are busy. Faneuil Hall is busy.
Yeah.
I walked through there on the weekend, and there was definitely a show to be had.
Yeah.
Definitely a show. I also saw, by the way, someone, they're starting to encroach now on the right, you know, where the center of the buckets might be in the center on West End, but behind the benches. Mm-hmm. I think they're starting to break dance over there now. I think they're starting to use that.
In front of Faneuil Hall.
Yeah. Which is, you know, but I think Faneuil Hall.
I warned them. I told Joe O'Malley that
I know.
Months ago.
Yeah. I mean, we have to be present. We have to get out there. Somehow we got to do something because it's survival. I mean, performers are going to show up in any spot they can. And if they can work legally in the city, then anywhere on the perimeter of Faneuil Hall, they could work if they wanted to. You know, not to give them any ideas.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, no, I did. I warned them. I said that Josh told me that's what they were going to do. And if they're doing it already, then that's what it is.
Yeah. So
and Joe O'Malley wrote back, I won't let that happen.
Yeah, okay. I saw that email.
Sure.
Yeah. He'll be out there.
Sure, he's out there every day.
Saturday night at 10 o'clock. Yeah. He'll be out there at night.
Sure he is.
Patrolling. And then of course, Joe O'Malley or whatever is one single person is going to walk up to a group of breakdancers and say, hey, you can't work.
Yeah.
You know, no, that's not going to happen.
No.
That's okay though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get back in there. I mean, I just think it's so my guess, and I'm trying not to like have any expectations for the future. So far, I haven't had any dates in mind, but now I'm starting to feel like July 4th. Somehow I feel
Someone would be nice.
Like I feel like July 4th might be an opening day.
I mean, anyone who wants a vaccine is meant to be able to have one by like the end of May. So.
But the city's, I mean, you should see the North End. Packed. The restaurants are all packed, and now there's no more social distancing in the restaurants.
Wow.
It's just they're all packed in.
Wow.
In and out. So, I mean, I don't really know why we can't do shows.
Well, I mean, it's either the city's not giving Faneuil Hall the permit, or Faneuil Hall is not applying for the permit.
Right. It's kind of a combination of both.
Yeah. I mean, they always say they loved having us there, but they've always done their best to try and curb our what we do.
Yeah.
So now that we don't really have an ally there, it's just the merchants now, they can just be like, oh yeah, the city said we can't do it.
Yeah.
We don't really have an ally in the management anymore.
It's a shame though, because it's not like I have an ego about this, but the reality is that we do make that place pop. We make it happen, and the real, they do a lot more business when there's performers out.
Yeah, and if we were to just start going and street performing down there and getting in trouble or whatever and getting court cases, we would win. But what we would win is sharing the pitch with everyone.
Yeah, with everyone.
No more street performer program.
Yeah. I actually had that vision in my mind about it turning into like a Harvard Square pitch. I could just have that vision about what that would look like. Or even just, actually, what the vision I had was not for everyone, but just our program itself. Because it's so like touch and go that it would just be like, all right, Saturday we're showing up and working, which is easy for me because I live around the corner. But I think it'll come back together. I do. I really do think it'll come back sooner than later. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not banking on the spring. I'm not banking on anything actually.
No.
But I'm envisioning summer.
And it's funny because I've been like, my show has kind of almost been like not erased in my head, but I definitely have forgotten a lot of it, and that kind of sucks. But it's
true. Do you have video footage?
I got some video footage, but I don't know.
Do you have a script?
I've got some scripts, but not a complete one now.
Could you write it out?
And it's funny. I had a few right towards the end of the pandemic. I had a few jokes that were new. And I don't know if I have those.
You don't remember?
I had a $100 joke that was landing me a $100 tip.
Nice.
Way too much. It was becoming like a regular thing. It was so good, and I remember the standard part of the joke, which was always gets a laugh, never gets 100.
Right.
But what was it that I said before that?
Yeah.
That was the thing. It's the combination, because certain psychological the jokes work. Like street jokes, they're designed.
Yeah.
Ones that work, we just use them because they know they work.
Yeah.
But you got to have a joke first. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah, obviously I did a few shows at the beach in August, and then I had months off creating my course, and then the next time I was going to do shows was December, and I was driving down to Florida. So what I did is I looked at my script, because I have a script in my show that I look at, I adjust all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever I think of a new joke and I replace an old joke, I adjust the script. So I looked at the script and I went, I'm just going to record this into my voice recorder. And it was weird. It wasn't like I was doing my show. I was just kind of...
Yeah.
But then on the way down there, I just listened to it in my earphones.
Yeah.
And you just start mouthing along to the words.
Sure.
Yeah. You know what's coming. You know what's coming next. And then when I got to do my show, it just helped. It helped me just remember things I would forget.
Right.
Like little jokes here and there.
So I'm seeing this as an opportunity to create something new.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Part of my coaching is about environment. It's so important, the environment that we live in. And I think that would be a good topic for street. I don't know how that's going to play yet, but I kind of I've always wanted to bridge the gap between me as a coach and transformation and the straitjacket escape somehow. And I could do that. Street's very interesting because you can't completely go into just a coaching thing on street. Balance.
I had a conversation recently with AJ. I don't know if you know AJ.
Yeah.
He's a street performer from England.
Totally.
He's one of my mentors. Anyway, I did a Busker Hall of Fame interview with him, and I asked him what his specialty is. Like, of all the things that you do in your show on the street, what's your specialty? And he says, I think it's coaching. The people, the volunteers, the kids that I pick out, and just that connection, that making them believe in themselves, kind of. So it is possible.
I like that. Thank you. That's great. Yeah, that's really interesting. Just that concept of believing in yourself. And look at me doing what I'm doing. Hanging upside down in a straitjacket. There's a lot of trust and belief in myself.
Yeah.
So it's perfect. Backdrop for talking about that. Taking calculated risks. So it's just, I think it's what I'm knowing is that, so I did my show a few months ago at my stepbrother's house in Milton. He had a bunch of people show up, so I could just do it. And there was a lot of gaps, a lot of like silence where I just didn't remember what to say. I knew there was something in there, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Which is good because now I know when I go back out and start to do this, those gaps will get filled in with new stuff or the old stuff.
But the audience has no expectations,
They
they don't know what's missing.
Yeah. That's the thing is
they have
everyone,
no idea.
Everyone who watched that show, it was about 15 people, they loved it. And I was really feeling very deflated. Like, wow, I didn't. Did I even do a show? Like, I feel like I didn't do a show.
Yeah.
But again, it's very different. You're right.
Yeah.
People look at it. They see a very different
No,
thing.
the audience only sees what you present to them. They have no idea what you used to do.
Yeah, they don't know what's in your head either.
Yeah.
They don't know where the frustration is or trying to remember a joke. You know what I mean?
The difficult thing for me was, taking a year off contortion. It's difficult to do now. Some of my moves kind of hurt.
Wow.
And my back hurts and things hurt.
I've got like 15 extra pounds on me and hanging upside down on the ankle. That hurts on the ankles.
Yeah.
Like I got to actually condition myself a little bit.
So that's why I created the new act.
Right.
Because it's a little easier on the body. It's something different. And it's not, I don't want to bill myself as the contortionist anymore because I don't feel like I can deliver a show as a contortionist and not hurt my body,
Yeah.
So that was part of it. And I feel like, the whole 2020, like pre-2020, here was my show. Post-2020, here's my show. It's just good to have something new. So, yeah, it's definitely a good idea to, create something new out of all this time and what we've had.
I've always wanted to do a show with just nothing. I've always wanted to just... And to me, the only prop would be a wireless mic.
Well, I mean, you can do it. You don't have to do that's just being a speaker.
Right,
you already do that.
Yeah,
so
I'm speaking.
You're just being a speaker. And the thing is, if you wanted to be like a stand-up comedian, the audience expects jokes. They expect to laugh. If you want to be a speaker and you want to speak about a topic and you're funny, that's like a huge win, for a speaker to be funny. Like that's a huge, and like just knowing how to make people laugh, knowing how jokes work, knowing how to say a sentence so it gets a laugh.
Yeah,
that's huge for a speaker. Like that's how people like you.
Yeah,
they're laughing. I like this guy. He's funny.
Yeah,
and then they want to know what it is you're talking about.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
That's how you do it. That's how you do a show without any props. Is you're a speaker. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's something that I've been doing it. So over this pandemic, basically what I've done is transferred over to doing a lot of speaking gigs. So far in the new year, I've already done like 25 speaking gigs. And I started out just like we were talking about. I mean, I didn't really have a talk. I mean, I booked the gigs and then created the talk and created the slides and just got better at it. And just my first one out my first talk was like 21 tips. Right. And then it was like 18, and then it was 15, and then it was 11, and then it was 5, and then it's 3, and now it's just the one thing.
One thing.
I couldn't fit it in. It was ridiculous. I was just trying to fit the shit in, and I was over-delivering, over-delivering.
That's Expert Secrets is all about the one thing.
The one thing.
The one thing.
That's it. It's just really, so it's just how to have a radically shifted life.
Yeah.
That's it. How to.
So what's the one thing?
The one thing. What is the one thing?
What is it?
What is the one secret?
Yeah.
Getting in front of it.
Right.
That's the secret. Everything starts with a thought. You got to get in front of it. You got to create that in your head before it's actually in physical reality. You got to create it first, and there's ways to do it. Actual techniques and tips, and actually how to get in front of it. We talk about visualization, of course, but we're talking about belief and knowing as well. Because when we talked about it earlier about if you cut yourself off with knowing, if you have a thought and they go no or but, then that's it. It's not gonna show up. The word but is awesome because anything that follows the word but is bullshit. Think about it.
Right.
It's a lie. When someone says I want to do this, but, and then they say the next thing, it's just a fabricated piece of shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, with my clients, I stop them.
Man.
Stop before you hit the word but.
Yeah.
I want to what? Just say the thing you want to do.
It's funny. One of the podcasts, Dan Henry podcast, he was like, he has this thing, buyers are liars, right? So any client that comes on the call that gives him these excuses, exactly, it's but, yeah, I need help, but, and they make up this thing, reason, whatever, why not?
Yep.
And so he says, yeah, buyers are liars.
Yeah,
it's funny though. Like
amazing.
I find a lot of my course sales come from people getting in touch with me on Instagram or on Messenger. They'll send me a message.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is you just help them.
That's it.
They come on, they ask you a question, you help them.
That's it.
They want to know something about street performing, I help them.
Yep.
And then the next day, I get an email that they bought the course.
Yep.
So
I have an acronym for that one. It's not an acronym. Acronym is an acronym versus initialism. An acronym actually has to make a word. So people often say like So anyway, the acronym is SMS. That's not a word really, but SMS is texting, right? But it's social media service. SMS.
Yeah.
So every day, get online, go on Instagram, go on your Facebook groups, and serve people. Don't sell.
Yeah.
Don't fucking talk about yourself.
No, that's it.
Just serve and watch your messenger get a ding because people are going to contact you. Because I tell people it's so simple because of the way that social media is set up. As long as your profile or bio says what you do with a link to your shit, that's all they need.
Yeah.
So that you help someone. They go, oh, who's this guy, Al? Click on your bio. Oh, wow, cool. Click on your link. And then they're in your world. Funnel. It's a simple funnel.
You
right?
let the sales funnel do the selling, and you just do the helping.
That's it. Just the service. And the opposite, of course, is it's the person who walks into a party and talks about themselves. So the idea of that is that yes, there's going to be a couple of people that are kind of hanging on every word, a couple of people, but everyone else is going to think a guy's a dick, and they're not going to tell him that.
Yeah.
They're not going to say anything. They're just going to be like, I don't like that guy because he's talking about himself.
Yeah.
Same thing about social media and Facebook groups. If you get on there and start promoting, yeah, you might get a hit. You might get a couple people, and you think it's working, but everyone else in that group is going, nope.
Yeah.
They're never going to click on your link.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking this guy is so transparent.
Yeah.
So it's simple, totally committed and totally unattached is a great way to look at that. Right? Committed to serving, but unattached to the result. That's just such a nice way to live.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's definitely what has helped a lot is, when people message me, just don't try and sell them the course at all. Just answer their questions.
Yep.
And help them out, give them a bit of inspiration. That's it. Same with the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Just try and give people a little inspiration.
That's what it's for.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to hear in a webinar is when the person who's selling their course or product says, most of you who buy this won't even use it. Right. I love hearing that negative. It's almost reverse psychology, but it's like the idea of just being so honest with the people, saying most of you are gonna listen to this webinar, for example, and then you're not gonna follow through with the three biggest mistakes. Most of you won't even.
Yeah.
You won't even follow through with those.
Yeah.
You won't even learn from it.
Yeah.
And that's why I've set up this thing for you. You know what I mean?
And it really was. It's really the three pillars, of street performing. It's how to hold a crowd.
Yep.
How to get paid.
In the middle
and
one.
how to get gigs.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, those were the three mistakes that I told people. Like, here's what you're doing wrong if this is not working for you.
Nice.
And that's really all of it. It really, I boiled it down to three things. I mean, I could probably do a whole webinar on crowd building. You know?
There's a middle piece, but it's kind of assumed to give them something, do something. But that's kind of assumed if you're doing it. I mean, you're setting up, you're doing something. But I remember years ago, I think it was either you or JP said to me, it's get them to stop, get them to watch, and get them to pay.
Stop, stay, pay.
Stop, stay, pay. Right, same thing. Right, and that's really it. And it's like if you're a beginner and you're starting out, 10 minutes. And I remember starting in Australia and watching our friend Emma, who was quite accomplished at that time, and she was doing these 12-minute shows and just making a killing. Yeah. And then I remember, I don't want to mention her name, but someone putting her down and saying that's not a real show because it's only 10 minutes. And she was looking at their money going, yeah, really? This is not a real show? Like, people come up to me and go, I love your show. Yeah. So is it not a show? Yeah. It's a show. Yeah. It could be 1 minute. It could be a show.
Yeah.
And it's funny how we tend to edit out, right? we tend to take out more and more. I mean, my show had so much stuff in it, and just kept.
Yeah, that's like that's a problem I have. Is I take out so much, and then someone wants to book me for a gig, and I'm like, "My show's only 30 minutes long."
That's
And they're like, "Oh, we're kind of looking for an hour," and then I have to chuck in all this B material just to fill out an hour, just because that's what they want.
Yeah,
it's like, ugh.
Should have like a half-hour movie you could show them first.
Yeah, that'd
like
be
something
a
you
great
just
idea.
produce. Like something
the story of Al. Here's
something
how
really
the show
cool.
came
Something
together.
really cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or after the fact, whatever. Yeah, one of the two.
Or both.
Or just 20 minutes of Q&A.
Yeah.
So you do 40 and then 20 minutes of Q&A.
Yeah.
Talking about the creative process.
Yeah,
Get all the acting students there and all the, you can build it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which
cool.
I think is what
Yeah,
just do, because I think you're right. It sucks to have to add shit and it's not A material and you're getting paid for it. There's nothing worse than knowing that you're not delivering, feeling like, like, But yeah, you could probably do that, especially now that you have a platform.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, get a separate Facebook group for that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
more about, the creative tips for creatives.
There you go.
Right? Expand that out, man.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, the thing about niche is that have you experienced, has this happened yet? Has anyone who's not a street performer been interested?
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. That's the
got in touch
anomaly.
with me.
That's the weird thing about niche is that you get a narrow niche and then people tend from the outside, they want to go in.
Yeah.
They want in. So what was that? Who was that?
He was a guy from Canada who had seen my show, not a performer, but had been inspired by the way I got people to pay.
Sure. Dude,
And-
if you were a salesman,
Dude, yeah.
take that course.
So he got in touch with me, when I was, I forget when it was, maybe 6 months ago or something. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm really interested in taking your course just for the fact that you were really good at selling."
Yep.
I was like, "Okay."
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really smart.
Yeah, because it really is like,
Good for him.
I think I could probably do a speech or a course on owning a room, on standing up and creating focus and silence and making people really focus on what you're saying and be really quiet and take in and how to be clear about what you're trying to say, and presence and gravity and empathy.
Playing big.
Yeah.
You're very good at that.
Yeah. So I think that's I think I could do something on that would definitely help salespeople and anyone who stands in front of other people and speaks.
Right. Which is a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. Pastors, salespeople, whatever. Just anyone who stands and talks in front of people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's. I obviously I don't have all the answers at how to become a speaker, but if you are in front of people, I know how to really make people focus on you and buy from you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, the course itself probably someone could learn from it who's not a street performer, but I can imagine a course that was, kind of stylized for that.
A lot of the stuff I wrote in the course, I was like, if I took out the word street
Right,
performing.
that's what I'm thinking. Exactly.
This,
It's just languaging.
yeah.
Just little language changes.
Yeah.
And it becomes something different.
So that's a project for another time. Like I said, it'll present itself eventually.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works.
The ideas, it's funny when an idea comes and I'll be like, a week ago, I had no idea about this idea. But now the idea is here and I'm making it happen. It's really strange.
Yeah. So I talk about, in my talk, I talk about the RAS, which is the reticular activating system, which is in the brain. And the RAS is really cool because it's a filter. It filters, so we basically take in tons of impetus, tons of information every minute, tons of it. And if it all went into our conscious mind, if we were actually aware of everything that we were noticing, we would go crazy. If we were aware of our blood flowing through our body and our heart beating and just everything, we'd go crazy. So what happens is the RAS filters out the things that are important, keeps that in the conscious mind. And the things that are not important goes into the subconscious, right? It's just a filter. It's like a dump. But the way it knows what's important is about what we think about, what our thoughts are, Right? You know what I mean? So if we have a thought like, I don't know what this would look like, for example, like you have this idea for this corporate potential package for speakers or for, entrepreneurs, you don't know what it looks like, but you're telling the RAS, just scan for that information.
Yeah.
Wherever I go, just keep an eye out for it.
So I'm listening, listen to podcasts, things will come up, reading a book.
And so your RAS is going, taking that.
Exactly.
So and a couple of ways to really explain the RAS is when you're in a crowded room and you hear your name across the room, like just not even yelled, but just someone says Al, and you're like, that's the RAS. When you buy a red car, you notice red cars everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the RAS.
Same as camper. I just bought a camper.
Right, you notice campers everywhere. Right, so this is the RAS. So what we're programming. Of course, it happens also the opposite way. If we think about shit, if we think about stuff that we don't want to have happen, if we think about what we don't want, we're telling the RAS to search for what we don't want. So it's really important to be vigilant about not thinking about what we don't want, but thinking about what we do want. In other words, instead of like being for weight loss, or instead of being against weight loss, like I'm against. I don't want to be fat. You could be for health, for being thin, for being healthy. So it's just a little switch though, but it really tells the RAS to scan for healthy, not fat, because the RAS doesn't really understand irony or like kind of like word play. It just hears what you think about. It hears it as it is.
Yeah.
But I think it's just so important to spend time programming the RAS.
Yeah.
And how do we do that? By thinking.
Yeah.
Just sit in time. Just think.
Have you heard of Daily Mind Medicine?
No.
It's a podcast. It's only like 5-10 minutes each day.
Yeah.
By Taylor Welch. You should check it out.
Good. I will. I will.
He talks about some of that stuff.
Yeah. There's a guy named Mike Dooley who's also big into this. I haven't picked up much of his stuff, but he talks a lot. He's a big thing about, I think it's, his phrase is thoughts become things, I think. But he was, he's big on that. Yeah, I mean, I can't stress that enough with people. Just stay positive and stay focused on what you want.
Yeah.
And let go of it having to happen.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't really like set giant goals, Like I didn't have a big goal for my course at all. I was just like, I need something to do, so I'm going to do this.
It's great. See, it's so interesting. But the goal, so you didn't have a goal.
I mean, my goal was to get it done.
Right. See, that's. But
I didn't have like, I want to make $1 million. That's not my goal.
Yeah. See, that's important. So part of this rule of manifestation is we say yes to it happening, but we let go of the how and the when. We get caught up with the how and the when, and that stops us from doing anything. When's it going to happen? How am I going to do this? I don't know how to do it. I don't know when. I won't do anything. The goal is just to say yes, a big overwhelming yes to it happening.
Forget perfection.
Yeah.
Trust the process.
That's right. Because perfection, please, really? How? I mean, really, it's like...
It's funny when I'm editing a video, I'll notice something, I'll be like, nah, it doesn't matter. I think that comes from music too.
Yeah.
Working with you and Sean Slade, and making, and little things that I thought were mistakes. You guys are like, no, that's cool. Leave that in.
In fact, I regret almost everything that I've recorded. I think I've over edited everything. I really wish I can go back to everything I've ever recorded and just let things breathe a lot more. Let like real mistakes be there. Let out of tune things be there.
People like that stuff.
I was watching, there's a great YouTube channel. It's this guy that basically takes songs and he'll like, for example, he auto-tuned Journey, his voice, Steve, who's almost perfect anyway, but just a small town girl, right? Living just a small. That first just was wrong. It's right. just a small town. He's off.
Yeah,
and it's like, so that was a product of a timing because that was done in the 80s and that was right before Pro Tools, right before editing really hit, where they could auto tune and stuff. So they just couldn't. Yeah. So it was what you did, and it was what you did. But
it's real.
But then what happens is he goes through and he auto tunes the whole thing, and you hear it again. It's like it's not good anymore.
Yeah.
And he quantized. He put perfectly into the beat John Bonham,
right,
from Zeppelin,
Yeah.
Took away all of the groove, all of the heart, all of it. It's just gone. He took a Van Halen tune, so Van Halen didn't play with a click track. Right. It was all over the place. He tried to put a click in to find out what the average tempo was, and it was just all over. And so he quantized it all, and it just sounded terrible.
People like the human touch.
Yeah.
It's like when you're doing a show, it's like when my wife has a YouTube channel where she teaches yoga. It's like any mistake she makes, I'm like, leave it in. People like that stuff.
They do. They really do.
Yeah.
They really do.
The dog comes in and says hello, or the dog's barking. Just say, my dog's barking, sorry.
Yeah.
You know, like that. People like that stuff.
Yeah.
It makes people connect with you more because they feel like they know you more.
And you're just being natural. You're not trying to put on any type of pretension or trying to be something. You know what I mean? You're just showing up, and that's the beauty of what goes viral is basically those things for the most part, or people that mimic that really well. Like years ago, it was a friend of mine actually who filmed the video. It was the first one that went viral. It was a magician who did a card trick or a magic trick to a cop. And the cop freaks. The guy either he has pot, and then he vanishes the pot, and the cop freaks out on him. And my friend Jesse filmed it, and it went viral, and everyone was like, "What an asshole!" Everybody had an opinion.
Yeah.
You know, why would that kid do that, or that cop? Everyone had an opinion. Reality was fake, but they hired an ex-cop. So it just had the feeling of being real, and Jesse's really good at. But so they fabricated what looked natural, and they was able to hit over and get viral. But it's those types of things.
Yeah. No, I don't have any idea how to make a viral video. But
I think the people who are selling that idea how to make a viral video are they're pulling something over us.
Yeah, I keep making videos that help people, but I can't get any traction. I can't imagine any of them ever going.
I mean, you have some good content, but it's a niche. It's a niche thing. You're not. I mean, why would it? A destruction on street performing is not going to get 1 million hits.
No,
street performing might. But yeah, I mean, I can't. I mean, I'm just one of many coaches out there. I mean, I can't really. I mean, I'm a drop in the thing.
Right.
Sometimes it's hard to actually sometimes create the content knowing that. Again, that expectation, letting go of that expectation. Because if I create content knowing that no one's going to listen or whatever, then I won't do it. So just try to put it out there anyway. And
I don't really try too hard. Whenever I have a thought on something, I just start writing in my phone in the notes, and I just write out the thought, and then I go, I can record that as a video. Easy. Go record it, put it up, boom.
You just use the Notes app on the iPhone?
Notes, yeah.
Okay. I'm always curious about how people.
Yeah. And then I do is I send that to my email, and I open it on my iPad, and I bring it into a teleprompter app, and then I put the iPad down, and it goes through my homemade teleprompter.
What app do you use?
Teleprompter.
It's an app for the iPhone?
Called, yeah. It's called teleprompter.
So you hear that process? I'm so curious. I love process like that. Because I mean, to me, it's like we're all creative. We're all creative, but it's the people that have a way of organizing their creativity are the ones that can actually do something with it.
I'm best with words, with writing, not vocal, not recording, not voice recording.
Yeah,
I used to use my voice recorder for songs from when we play music.
Sure.
But everything else is in my notes.
Yeah, notes.
Yeah.
There's an app called Temi.
Oh, yeah?
It's 10 cents a minute. It's a voice transcription.
Oh, yeah.
So the app itself it's got a mic. It's a simple app. You open it up, there's a mic, you record it, and then you can send it off, and it comes back.
Rev, too. Rev's
another one? Yeah. So, I mean,
I recommended that Temi and Rev in my course, actually, because for people to voice record their entire show, have it transcribed, have a script that you can edit. If you don't want to just write it out yourself.
It's great. I mean, think about it. You do a whole show. It's 45 minutes. It's less than $5 for a transcription. I mean, really. So I just want to backtrack there. So you have an idea. You open up your Notes app.
Write it down.
You voice dictate it and
flesh it out.
Right?
No, just write it.
You type it out.
Flesh it out to
email it to your email it
to myself.
To yourself.
Basically, open it on my iPad,
and then put that into a teleprompter app, and then record a video.
Yeah. See? Well, I made a homemade teleprompter out of a piece of wood and a picture frame held up by a little pencil at this 45-degree angle. Right?
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Whatever it takes.
You put the camera behind it.
No one can see it.
You put the iPad
Nobody
in front of
sees
it.
it.
No one
Yeah.
sees it. No.
Yep.
And then, I've learned how to speak so it looks like I'm not reading.
Yep.
How to say my own words. And I've learned how to script my own words.
Yep.
So they sound like the way I talk.
Yeah.
And not like I'm saying all these words that I don't use.
Sure.
You know?
I just invested in a Kickstarter thing. It's called a center screen mic. So imagine this is your laptop.
Oh.
It's got a boom arm, and it comes right here, and it sits right there.
Huh.
And it's a little tiny little mic, but it's 4K.
Yeah.
It's like this big, and it just so it won't block your view. So you could either tell teleprompter, or you could have a YouTube session or whatever. And you're actually looking at someone in the eye. That's one of the things that really bothers me about what I'm doing right now. Is I can't. Right? Either I have to look into the camera and not see my audience, or look at the audience and I look like, I don't look.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much everyone. So it's not like it's 99% of the people. Very few people have any ability to do that center cam or teleprompter type of stuff. It's very rare.
When I did my live webinar recently,
Yep.
and I didn't use a teleprompter, but I had the whole thing in front of me on the screen,
Yep.
and the camera, is obviously at the top of my little Mac.
Yeah.
And I'm not reading, but I'm using it as notes.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time I'm looking at the camera, but when I'm looking at the notes, you can't really tell, because I'm far enough away from the screen. But when you're using a teleprompter, you're looking right at the lens.
Yeah.
You're looking right at the person. And I've noticed, I've learned that you don't speak to a group of people. You just speak to one person. Like you imagine there's one person, and you just like I'm just speaking to you. If I'm telling you a tip about whatever, I'm just talking to Jason.
That's great.
Because it's just because there's only one person watching it.
Yeah.
So I use words like you and your and just so it's just really focused on one person.
Right.
And I think that in marketing, especially like for our shows when we want to book things, like if you market to a bunch of people, you got to market to just like you're marketing to one person. And when you're selling on your website and or your coaching service or whatever, if it's a webinar and tons of people are going to see it, you still have to direct it to one person because there's only one person watching it at a time.
Right. Yeah. One person on the website. One person.
Yeah. So
that's great. I'm going to double check my copy. I think I'm good on that. I could double check though if I'm using plural or not. But I like that idea. I like that.
I think you sent me something that I sent you a couple of notes on, and I think the one thing I said to you was try not to use words that you don't use when you speak. And Snap Boogie sent me something recently as well, and I was like, this doesn't sound like you at all. He sent me this whole worded thing. I was like, he's like, but I'm like, it doesn't matter what, like, just be yourself. Don't try and be all wordy and smart because it's not you. Like, just write the way you talk.
Yeah. We often work a little too hard. You know what I mean? It's a lot simpler.
I'm definitely more articulate writing than I am speaking. So a lot of the times I'll write something out, like a whole video, and I'll read it out loud, and I'll be like, I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't say that,
right?
And I'll adjust it,
right?
And a lot of my adjustments are gonna and wanna, and because I don't say going to and want to,
sure.
Like in my regular, I just try and be more natural. So those are a lot of my adjustments I make after I write something, just trying to make it sound like it's more me.
Yeah, that's why.
I think I write like my father talks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I write like my father talks, but I talk like I talk.
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely use voice dictation, and I think it definitely helps me too, because I'm just dictating what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's generally how I create stuff.
I don't always have...
Most of my emails are written that way.
I don't always have the whole thought, though. I need time to kind of... and move things around a lot, I do a lot of moving things around to make it flow right. Because a lot of people say that about my videos. They're like, it's just so clear and concise. And
so how do you do that?
Well, I mean, I basically, first I start writing. I write out everything on the subject. and then I figure out an order. You know, I just go, what order should all this information be in? And I put it in that order, and then I go through it, and I cut out anything that's repetitive. I cut out even words that are repetitive. Oh, I already said space in that sentence. Don't say it again in this sentence. You know, just and then I put it in an order. I edit out as many words as I can that still gets the point across. Just basically less words. Trying to get everything across in less words. And that comes from Seinfeld, you know.
Yeah.
When he writes jokes, he takes as many words out as possible.
Yeah.
And when the joke's still funny, with the least amount of words.
Yeah.
You take one more word out, no longer funny. Then you got to put that word back in and it's still funny. So that's the same. That's how I treat it.
Jimmy Carr.
Oh, yeah?
That is it.
Yeah.
2-word joke.
2-word joke.
Dwarf
shortage. It is good.
I'm trying to find that routine because he does like a bunch of different. He's like 4, 3, 2, maybe 1 word.
Yeah, he
joke.
does. He has.
What's his 1 word? Does he have a 1-word joke?
Nah, 2-word joke is the lowest.
Just look at something. Hold.
5-word joke. Yeah. So that's how I do that. And
Yeah.
I think it comes from doing my show and speaking in my show. I always make sure I'm clear with what I'm saying in my show. My jokes, everything I say in my show is very clear and can be heard from 200 feet away. You know, it doesn't just sound like a guy speaking through a microphone that's muffled or whatever. You can hear the words, every single word from really far away. So you can hear a joke in its entirety and go, that sounds funny. What's this guy doing? And then go over there.
Yeah, I think it's an important piece that beginners might not realize. Sometimes
beginners.
No, but sometimes people are not laughing because they can't understand
Yeah.
It's like not beginners, but it could be anybody. We know actually some performers who speak really quickly.
They speak too fast.
And feel that it's like so much. For years, I actually had because I used to. My God, but when I started, I listened to a recording of myself and I was like, oh my God, it's twice as fast as I think.
Yeah.
So I had a big thing. It said slow down. I put it in my case. Every time I open up my case to start my show, it said slow down, and it helped.
No, you have a good cadence now.
Thanks. Yeah, it took some time because I'm naturally a fast talker and a little on the sloppy side on speaking. So it took me. And I forget years ago. This was actually before I had some sinus surgery. But I remember one of the it was maybe Allison from the trapeze, whatever, girls.
Yeah.
But she said, you have a very congested, but it works for you. She said, it works for you. But I was really congested before I had surgery.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I couldn't breathe. It was years ago. Oh, my God.
Yeah, right. No, but you have a good cadence now. I think cadence is really important because you can train the audience with your cadence.
Right. It's totally hypnotic.
Yeah, totally hypnotic. And you can say a joke, and if you say it in the same way that you've said 10 other jokes that have been funny, they'll laugh at that joke even if it's not funny.
Yeah.
He said that in the way he said
yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. That's I think about Bike Boy, who had some jokes that made no sense whatsoever, and it would still get a laugh because he consistently delivered them the same way.
Yeah.
He had a style and a way, and very slow.
Too slow.
Too slow.
Yeah.
Some might
There's
think.
too fast and there's too slow.
On the slower side, but it's just, there's no. You could always. That's the thing is like he's success. He did really well, and so there's no. You can always break a rule. I mean, you know.
You can.
It's one of those things. You know, you got to know when for your own self to say that rule is not going to apply for me because I'm going to do it my way. But you got to be honest. Are people paying you for it?
Right.
You know.
He sounds, and someone has actually asked me if he's special.
Yeah, sure.
You know, because he's so slow and but I mean, it works for him.
It does work for him. I mean, for him, his pacing it's beautiful and it works.
He maybe drops out too many words. And he drops out a lot of the in between words as well. You know, put the bike on pole, juggle. You know, and everyone gets it, and it's dumbed down. All the way.
Yeah,
you know.
It's something years ago. I forget which book I was reading, but it was about public speaking, and it was just about how the orators back in the day, before there were sound systems, speaking to 1,000 people or more, it was all about constructing the sentences. So the words begin and end with good, strong words, because you can't have any trailing off things. And I remember you talking about this when going to Edinburgh and performing outside with no mic. You learn to edit your show. You learn to get rid of all that stuff that doesn't matter. And you just drop the bombs, the big statements. But I remember learning that, just the way those orators worked is everything was designed that the words would end with big, powerful, block, strong, consonant words.
Yeah, it's
so they could be heard.
Someone actually gave me a good idea recently, and because I've done that in the past, where you don't use a microphone and you edit yourself to say only what's needed in your show. Because when you use a microphone, you can say anything, and you tend to say too much. So, and that's a great way to edit yourself. And someone recently let me know that a really good way to do it is to convert your show to another language.
Cool.
Because then you really only say what's necessary.
Yeah, that's another level.
Really economize.
I only know. How many languages does Clark do his show in? He's one of the few that could do 5. It's 5.
He's got a few. Yeah,
I think he could do. That's amazing to do your show in 5 different languages. Unbelievable.
No, I can't. I go to Germany. I
can't do it.
Places where where English isn't the first language, but they do understand English, and I speak very slowly.
That's all.
I throw in a few German words that I know, but I've never converted my whole show to another language, which is would be a great way to economize words.
Sure. Yeah. If you needed to, that's surely a way to get there.
But anyway, so it's. That's what it's all about, is just being concise and clear. In the show, in web copy, in email copy, anything. Just being clear and concise, making videos. And, I think, my writing and my editing takes up most of the time. It takes a couple of minutes to shoot a video.
Yeah.
All the work goes into preparation.
Yep. And these days you can really do everything with your computer or a phone, and you really don't have to invest into. It's best just to get the stuff done.
I did everything myself, except for my webinar, which runs on my website. I wrote it, but I had my friend Fred come over and shoot it with 2 cameras, and he's really good at video editing and animation as well. So he did all the animations and all the titles and everything. But everything else I just did myself. All the shooting of videos, the hosting, the web, all the everything. I didn't ask for help. I probably should have. Obviously I got help from different sources on the internet.
You had
and
a lot of information. But the thing is, you had the information, but then you did it. And you just went forward and did it, and knowing that it wasn't going to be perfect. And you're still gonna, you're gonna, like the issues with Facebook. You're gonna get issues that pop up. That's just annoying.
And now I just have it fully automated now. Yeah, I have my Facebook group. I put up videos there. There's the video that people first see is a welcome video to the group. So when they first come on, that's the first thing they see. And at the end of that video, it points them to my website. Yep. At my website, there's a video on the front page of the website that convinces them to watch my webinar. And when they watch my webinar, that convinces them to buy the course. Yeah. And then when they buy the course, it's not there yet, but it's going to convince them to opt into a higher level coaching. Yeah. I haven't done that yet, but that's probably the next thing. Yeah, I think so. The higher ticket coaching item. Yeah, I think so. That would be great, the one-on-one. Because right now I have group coaching calls where people can come on a Zoom call and we can all chat about whatever. Yeah, that's great. But like a one-on-one coaching thing. There will be people who want the specialized one-on-one, who really want to take this to the next level, realizing that the course, you can learn the stuff. You can watch the stuff, say, but you can go out and you can go out and do it. And that's where coaching really helps, because it kind of gives you accountability. You know what I mean? When you're working with a coach, it's like Yeah, it's funny. I have I doubt myself sometimes. One of the things that is included in my course is a review of your show. People can send me a video and I'll watch it. Yeah, and I'll point out everything that's wrong with it. That's great. Mistakes, and tell them how to fix them. Yep. But I don't always have confidence in that. I'm like, well, this person already has a good show. Maybe what if they send me the video and I'm like, oh, okay, they needed to fix that. They need to do this, 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 and this, and that's it. Like, it's funny to just know something that well, but still not have the confidence.
Well, what do you know to be true? I mean, when you watch those videos, have you ever seen a video that was just perfect?
No.
So that's it.
But I mean,
not even yours.
Yeah.
No. Anybody can have,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's just yeah. It's what's the word?
Staying on formula.
No, I'm just saying the fear is not valid.
Right.
It's not real. It's
right.
You know what? The question that we use with fear is, what do you know to be true? That's the question. Whenever someone says I'm afraid, I say, well, what do you know to be true about that? You know, I mean, actually, are you actually going to die? I mean, because it's funny, because when we talk about fear, I mean, there's very few people that say hang upside down in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
What is the worst thing that could happen? Well, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So it's weird. Yet I do it anyway because it's calculated for me, because I have done the training. I do know what it's made of. I do know the equipment. I know that it's the odds of it happening are so low. But that's what I know to be true.
You just tuck your chin in, whatever happens. You're a fall, tuck your chin in.
I'm telling you, up there, I picture it a lot. I picture what it would be like to just suddenly go boom and fall.
Yeah.
And it's just not a good feeling. It's not good.
Yeah.
I feel
windy days.
It's funny. I feel when I've gone up like really high, like 100 feet, I feel better, more comfortable that way, because I'm using different gear, like much heavier gear, and I'm also hanging off of a crane or something like that. That's like used to hanging, steel. So I feel very like it's not worried about anything happening. Those the slings that I use, whatever, those big yellow.
Something to be said about fear, though. It helps with suspense in a show. You see shows that don't have any fear, any suspense from the performer, and they're not that fun. They're not that great.
Yeah, you got to have a little bit of like
standing on a box juggling knives. Okay,
it's amazing because some people can make things look. And that was a big thing for me, of course, is knowing that I was doing a comedy. And yet still wanting the escape to be real, which it is, and feel dangerous, was a real kind of, and I'm very proud of that, that the jokes I deliver kind of ride that. I'm not too clowny, because I know other guys who do straitjackets, they're fully comedy. It's like full-on comedy, that the straitjacket, yes, they're doing it, but there's something incongruent to that. So I always want to have that balance, so just enough.
Yeah, it is a real trick.
It is a trick, because, because then they just don't believe it. Now
you just need a real straitjacket.
Yeah. Do they make those? They make real ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who was when I was, that you were away that weekend when Penn came and did his little reality show at Faneuil Hall, and then basically on TV revealed how the more rope, he's like, the more rope you use, the easier it is to get out.
Right.
He's like, right. I'm like, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Expose the secrets.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's what they've always done that. They've always.
There's obviously a line between comedy and suspense, but making fun of the fact that you're afraid is funny.
Yeah.
But also being afraid is electrifying.
Yeah.
People are just like tense. They're tense, and then as soon as those feet hit the ground, they're like, oh, and that feeling makes them want to pay.
Yeah, it's that joke. I mean, which is not too original, but the idea of just telling them to go home, like after I'm struggling, upside down. The first joke I make after the music pauses is really suspenseful music, and then the music pauses, and I just say go home because I'm stuck.
Yeah,
there's that thing of like, oh shit, like
break the tension,
and it's like, oh, and kind of the way I deliver it is almost like I'm afraid a little bit, like like go home.
All comedy is tension breaking.
That's right.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I just mentioned earlier that the George Carlin documentary is going to come out soon, or going to be filming soon, and I cannot wait to see that.
Yeah,
because obviously huge influence on us.
Yeah, totally.
Is Mr. Carlin. And so the other thing I was thinking about is because when I'm upside down, because I'm not using a mic, that helped me a lot to do those block to make things only say things that are important, that are actually worth it. Edit out everything else because I just can only have so much air and
Cast away the unnecessary.
Yeah, cast. Was that something he's teaching a course?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just cast it away. Yeah, man.
Get rid of it.
That's right. Cool. So what else? I always have a couple of questions I like to ask people.
Yeah.
So let me do those right now. They're kind of fun. Let's see here. Which did I see? What do I want to ask you today? I want to ask you what where is it? So I don't think it's here, but I know what it is. What's your favorite thing that you own?
Favorite thing that I own? Huh.
Like physical.
Like what do I get the most joy out of?
Yeah. What brings you the most joy exactly?
Huh. I think it's my show equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my little box.
Your box,
It's
yeah.
funny because I was at my house the other day, right? And this is a perfect question because like I've got a cool car, I've got a camper, I've got this big house, I've got all this stuff in the house, got a fireplace and a nice kitchen and a bathroom, a nice bed and a yoga room and another room and this, just like all this stuff. And then I was down there in the basement and I saw my little Pelican box of equipment and I went, all this is because of that. I have all this because of that little box.
That's right.
So I think it's the box of props for my show.
Yeah.
I lost one in Edinburgh one year. It was devastating.
Oh my God.
Stolen. Yeah.
Oh my God. Jerk.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's my, and I take so much pride in the way my equipment looks and how much it weighs because it has to weigh under 50 pounds
Yep.
for the plane. And and fitting everything in the right way, and the sign on the front, and just everything about it. I think that's probably it.
Yeah, that's that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Something about that you could always tell a street performer who's a newbie, but who's really like inspired because they're building their case,
right?
Like they're building their little setup,
kit,
like little kit, and like you know what I mean, like and they saw someone use a suitcase, so now they're going to use a little suitcase. They usually grab one from their like grandma's closet. It's like like some kind of fabric suitcase, but it looks like it's got a handle, and they could pull it, and they could walk onto the pitch, and it feels like a street performer. Yeah. That's part of it. And I think we all did that growing. I remember that having that and being a minimalist, having it. Like just knowing that exactly that equipment, I can live my life with just that case. Yeah. Like if anywhere in the world I can survive and pay my rent.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Isn't it?
It's pretty cool. Cool. That's what else? I got another question. Let's see. Okay, here's a good one. What are your non-negotiable daily routines? What are things that you do every day that are non-negotiable for you? Besides for eating shit and stuff like that.
Oh, well,
brush your teeth.
Breakfast. I always eat breakfast.
Yeah, and food. But like, what else in your day do you feel like is a non-negotiable? Or on a regular basis? You could maybe not daily, but
everything just got screwed up with COVID, man. Because I had all this different stuff I did, and now I don't have anything that I do. You know what I mean? Like this. I mean, there's at home. There's the computer, which is writing or reading or learning. There's the books, which is reading and learning. There used to be jiu-jitsu, which was a great learning tool for me. Because the saying in jiu-jitsu is when you don't win, you learn, and that's with everything.
I love that.
When you don't win, you learn. There was jiu-jitsu. There was there's hiking. There's the beach. I miss a lot of the things that I used to do in Australia. I think a lot of those things have disappeared for me. I sometimes feel like I'm living an alternate life, because in Australia I lived near the city. I had a little apartment near the water, near the place where I performed. I could go to the beach really easily. My friends were close by, and I started coming over here and doing, a month, 2 months, 3 months here, and then it became I moved here. And now I have a house and I have like a lawnmower and I have a snow blower and I have to chop wood and I have to garden and I have to do yard work and I have to go through winter, and all of that feels like someone else's life. All of that doesn't feel like me. So all that stuff I could say goodbye to. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, those are things I do regularly that I don't feel like fit. You know, I never, like, you know, growing up and living in Australia, living in Sydney, I don't know, I had to learn to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just weird to me.
Yeah.
So a lot of my days is filled up doing that kind of stuff. And so that stuff I could easily get rid of, you know?
Yeah.
But I have to do that stuff because I live here. But yeah, like yesterday was a nice day for me because I had an excuse to do nothing. I need an excuse to do nothing. I can't just do nothing. When I wake up in the morning, I'm either going to make a tea, start reading a book, do yoga, do a kettlebell workout. I'm going to do something. Or I've got a little list of things I'm going to do that day. I've got to go to the bank. I've got to get water, got to get this, got to get that. But yesterday I had an excuse to do nothing because I went to the dentist and had a filling because I had a filling a couple of weeks ago and I don't know, something was wrong with it. It didn't work. It was still sore. So I went back yesterday and they did it all again. But then my mouth is all like numb, and that for me is an excuse to go home, make a tea, and watch TV.
Yeah.
And do nothing.
Sure.
You know, because I normally save TV and shows for like nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
But yesterday I was like, I'm going to sit on the couch. I'm going to do nothing.
Yeah. Great.
So I think the one thing that's non-negotiable for me is daily is the ability to say, I'm done, no more. You know, I want to just chill out now. You know, that just having that time to just say, that's what I like about flying. You have no responsibility on a plane.
I know.
None. You can sleep, you can eat, you can watch TV, you can just do
permission,
nothing.
Full permission just to sit.
You can't make calls, you can't work. I mean, you could work.
If you want to.
Yeah, you could write or something on a computer.
Could. But a lot of permission just to sit and just be. Yeah.
So having that kind of responsibility in a regular day is something I like. That lack of responsibility, having at least a couple of hours or something where I don't have to do anything. Yeah.
So, I'm curious, how do you switch? How do you turn off? Is there a process or a thought, or is it something you're used to? How do you go from like work to free time?
I just know when I'm done. I'll be writing something and I won't be able to do it. I'll just be like like last night I was on the couch. It was late and I was trying to write new copy for this new show, right? And I was thinking about all these different tennis like terms that would fit in with my copy,
right?
And what I wrote on my website was Alakazam's new alter ego, Tennis the Menace, is sure to cause a real racket. Featuring daredevil tennis stunts, audacious comedy, and a foreign accent, it's a smash hit circus show. You know what I mean? Like just trying to. Yeah. So I was sitting there last night trying to figure that out, and I just reached a point where I was just like, I can't think about it anymore. I got to put it away. Just close the computer, put it away, and then I just chill out. So it's either that. Sometimes it's taking a shower actually. A lot of the times at the end of when I'm done, like whatever, I'll just go, I'm going to take a shower, and then I'll put comfy pants on. And
so it's just right. You're changing your state. You're changing your environment. You're changing the feeling.
I also have that with when I'm going to perform. Like when I put my performing outfit on.
You've mentioned that before. Yeah,
that gets me into the performing headspace.
Because there are different mindsets, and that's people we can literally choose perspectives or mindsets. We can choose to be in the professional mindset. We can choose to have free time. They're very different. I mean, they're different ways of approaching it. I think people have a hard time giving themselves permission to do nothing.
Yeah, it is hard.
It's really hard. In fact, that's something I ask in all the talks I do. I ask everyone, the question I ask everyone first, but they raise their hand. I say, how many people schedule their doctor's appointments? And they all raise their hands. How many people schedule if you have a job that's different than your usual job? How many people write it down? They all do. And how many people schedule free time? And no one raises their hand. Taking a bath, taking a walk, being with your spouse. Mm-hmm. How many people just actually write it down? Nobody writes it down. No. Yeah. I was like, well, why not? And I proved to them how important rejuvenation is. I mean, how you can't go pedal to the metal all the time. Yeah. You have to have some space. And then I bring up that quote of Miles Davis: "Space, music is the space in between the notes." So that's what life is: the space in between the notes, or in between the big stuff.
Yeah, just I try and have a little internal mantra, throughout my day, because I'll be thinking about, all right, in a couple of weeks, I need to drive to Virginia. I've got to have a show ready. I've got to do this college gig. Then I have to drive back. And then the week after that, I've got to fly to a gig in this city. And then I've got to get my camper van ready to drive to this place. But then I just go, okay, all I've got to do right now is sit here and talk to Jason. Right?
See?
And that's all.
That's it.
That's all I have to do.
That's it.
And the next thing, it doesn't matter. The next thing's going to be walking out here back to my car.
Right.
But I don't have to think about that right now.
No.
All I have to think about is this.
No, because in reality, that doesn't exist yet.
No.
It's not there. It's
No.
just, and anxiety comes from, because I hear so much about anxiety, and I have very little anxiety because I don't dwell on the past or think about the future that way. Because that's what causes anxiety, is when you start comparing either to what was or to what is going to happen, and you're not in the moment. When you stay in the moment, everything is provided for in this moment. Because it's the concept of we always handle what's in front of us. I mean, who doesn't handle what's in front of them? I mean, you do somewhere. I mean, even if you handle it badly, you're handling it.
Like, okay, perfect example. Yesterday at the dentist, I went in there because I was like, my filling is still something I can't chew on that side. What's wrong? And eventually he said, we're going to have to do it again. And I was like, like straight away, I was just like,
Yeah.
got to do it again. Like, right now, you mean? Can I reschedule? He's like, we should just do it right now. I was like, and you don't want to do it.
No.
But you can handle it.
That's it.
So I just went, okay, just don't be a pussy. Just man up and just do it.
Just do it.
And then I laid there and he drilled out the whole filling, put a new filling in, polished it up, did the whole thing. It was like an hour, and I hate it. I hate sitting in the dentist chair, but I just, I had the little sunglasses on. I'm just looking at the light with my mouth open. My lips are all dry. They're like pulling at my mouth with the tools, and and it's uncomfortable, but you just deal with it.
Our friend Anton is hardcore. Anton does not use any, what do you call, Novocaine.
Really?
He has his teeth pulled. He said, and no, nothing.
No numbing agent.
Nothing.
Really? Why?
The doctor says because it bothers him. He doesn't like feeling that out.
When he gets his teeth drilled. Oh.
Nothing. Isn't that crazy?
Couldn't he do gas or something?
He doesn't want the effects of the drugs.
Wow.
Because, I read an article years ago about a woman who was in a car accident, and basically it was a traumatic experience for her, and she refused medicine. Like, they wanted to put her on, morphine and shit, and she refused it. And her ability to reconcile with what happened to her emotionally, she was able to do that much quicker versus being completely fucking high. And you can't when you're high. You can't get into your emotions. You can't really really come to peace with it because you're just fucking high. So she was like, and she had her like arms set without any but she did all of it, went through it, and she said she recovered so much quicker. But I'm not that strong. Fuck that.
No, I couldn't do that.
I remember when them pulling my teeth, and just the feeling of the
pressure.
The pressure was enough to be like, what?
Yeah. That's
What I
bad.
mean? My dentist was this Italian dude. Like, he might as well be mafia. He's this big Italian guy with the gold rings, and he's your mouth ripped the tooth out. It was perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a traumatic experience with dental work when I was like, I don't know, like 15 years ago, and it's like just affected me.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it because when I was a teenager, I had so many different things going on with my mouth. Fuck.
Yeah, I ended up having to leave the dentist and go like to an oral surgeon to get him to fix that guy broke my tooth.
I was friends with the oral surgeon. That's how much I went there. I mean, every year I was going to this guy, and it was always on my birthday. It was like 3 or 4 years in a row on my birthday. One day I went in because I had something. He was going to take something out, and then he said, "You know what?" And he said, "I think we should do this in a hospital." Really? Oh, that's curious. So then he said, "We'll check you into the hospital." We checked into the hospital, and then basically he didn't tell us for some reason. Like, maybe he told my mom. He didn't tell me what was going to happen. I had a cyst the size of a film canister inside my sinuses, and they had to remove it. So they had to all these stitches and going through my. So I went in to have a tooth removed or whatever, and then I woke up with tubes coming out of my face in a hospital for 4 days. So I was like kind of traumatized because
Wow.
I was like, this is about tooth being pulled. This is like really intense.
Yeah.
It was like way worse than that. Blah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not end on that one. I'm going to ask you another question.
All right.
Let's see. What are 3 things that you're grateful for right now?
Well, I'm grateful that I still have a career. I'm grateful that I have a wife at home who is supportive of what I do.
We love Tina.
Yeah. And I'm grateful that I have like some security outside of just performing, that I can not have to worry too much about finances because I've been smart with them in the past. So yeah, I guess those 3 things: that I have a future, that I have a wife at home, and that I don't have to worry too much about my finances.
Those are great things to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And I just want to draw out earlier when you mentioned that you actually were working as a grocery delivery guy for a few days. Just shows your integrity, you know what I mean, and shows your commitment to success. And like you just didn't want to have to go into you just wanted to bring money in.
Yeah, I just wanted to do something. Yeah,
I know you. You just like that's important to you, just to see a positive flow. You know what I mean? I know it pains you to pull out of your account.
Well, I mean, yeah, totally. Yeah. And I think I did it up until my unemployment started, and then it was like because the way they did it, they kind of did it wrong. They gave us too much money. You know what I mean? Like. Because they were giving us $600 a week on top of regular unemployment, right? And if I went in and delivered like a day's worth of groceries and made $200, I would miss out on $800. So once the unemployment started up, I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to deliver the groceries anymore because not delivering the groceries makes more money.
Yeah. Yeah. I was able to get the PUA insurance, which has been great for me because I lost obviously my street performing gig.
Yeah.
It doesn't equal anywhere near what I would make, but it's been a blessing.
Yeah. It covers
really
your
helpful.
bills and your groceries.
Yeah, it really helps
yeah.
my bottom line. You know what I mean? So I don't have to stress as much, but it's not forever.
No,
but that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
yeah, man. All right. Cool. This has been fun. So almost 2 hours.
There you go.
Cool. So we're gonna. So how can people get in touch with you? We're gonna leave links below, but I want you to tell them a little bit.
Cool. Well, if they want to check out my course, it's ultimatestreetperformer.com. And if they want to check out my show, it's alakazamshow.com. ALAKAZAM show.com. And my Facebook group, Tips for Street Performers. Where people can post tips, ask questions, request help, whatever about street performing or any kind of performing, really. Tips for Street Performers on Facebook. And I think that's about it.
There's one more.
Is there? Oh, yeah, I have a clothing brand. That's right.
We didn't get into that because there's too much to talk about.
Yeah, I have another business. I have 4 businesses, but my other businesses, I have a clothing brand called Freak Original, and that's because I do a lot of performing at tattoo conventions. And while I was there, I started a clothing brand for tattooed people, and it's just basically it says Freak on the front with the word original, because it's a clothing brand. And so freakoriginal.com, you can check out my clothing line as well.
Yeah.
And
be a freak, everybody.
And my 4th business, it doesn't really worth mentioning because, if someone wants to rent an apartment, they'll look on Zillow.
Right. Yeah.
And my apartment maybe will come up.
Yeah. There you go. Real estate.
Yeah. Real estate.
Awesome. All right, dude. Well, thanks for being here.
No worries.
Cheers, mate. For watching, everyone. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Adios.
Adios.